Hi, I'm Michael Kurosh. I live in Santa Barbara, California, one of the most beautiful places on earth. My design center is where people come to reimagine their homes and spaces. I work with the best designers, clients with broad tastes, and experts who navigate the fascinating world of design. I'm always excited to learn something new, and I never say no to a challenge. This is Design Santa Barbara. Welcome to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Kurosh, and today we are in Washington, D.C. researching the history and the art treasures of the Smithsonian Institute. It is the largest educational and art museums complex in the United States. Please join us and let's look at some of the most fascinating works of art in the world. This incredible American institution and its near 2 centuries of historic and scientific endeavor come from the strangest of the beginnings. James Smithson, a British chemist and distant relative of King Henry VIII, amassed a great fortune in the late half of the 18th and early 19th century, but was disillusioned by the way European nobility treated him and his family. Seeking an enduring legacy for his family name, his will granted his sizable estate to the United States to create an institute in his name. With his passing, the U.S. government was bequeathed over 100,000 gold sovereigns, which, in comparison to the GDP of the United States at the time, would be equal to $220 million today. After passing multiple acts of Congress, which were signed into law by President James K. Polk, the Smithsonian Institution was formally established. A man who had never set foot on the United States but saw its potential as a new frontier helped create one of the greatest museums in history. Former President John Quincy Adams helped settle the Smithsonian's mission statement as an institution of science and learning. And in 1849, work began on the first building in what would become a massive complex on the National Mall, spanning the distance from the Washington Monument to the Capitol building. Though the Smithsonian's first secretary, Joseph Henry, wanted the institution to be a center for science research, it also became the depository for various Washington and U.S. government collections. One of the first major deposits given to the Smithsonian was the vast collection amassed by the U.S. Navy exploration expedition conducted between 1838 and 1842. This included thousands of animal specimens, 50,000 plants, shells and minerals, birds, examples of seawater, and cultural artifacts from around the world. As westward expansion continued, survey data and specimens from the frontiers of America were added to the collection. This included the missions to establish America's official border with Mexico and to plan the railways that would stretch from the Atlantic to the Pacific. The Smithsonian's first expansion came with the construction of the Arts and Industries Building in 1881. Congress had promised to build a new structure for the museum if the 1876 Philadelphia Centennial Exposition generated enough income. With plans drawn by the United States Army Corps of Engineers, the museum opened in 1881. The Arts and Industries Building was sited slightly farther back from the mall than the Smithsonian Castle to avoid obscuring the view of the castle from the Capitol. The building was designed to be symmetrical, composed of a Greek cross with a central rotunda. Over the next century, museums sprang up along the National Mall, including the National Zoological Park, Natural History Museum, the Freer Gallery of Art, the Museum of History and Technology, which was renamed the National Museum of American History in 1980. the National Air and Space Museum, and more recently, museums dedicated to the various cultural heritages of the American population. Several new museums are under active development and will be built in the coming years. We will be back with more Design Santa Barbara from the Smithsonian Institute. Stay tuned.
Santa Barbara Pizza House is your home for the best pizza in town. Embrace a symphony of flavors and textures with our pizzas. Drawing inspiration from both Chicago's deep dish legacy and Naples' artisanal heritage, our pizzas boast perfectly executed crusts, tantalizing sauces, and the finest mozzarella. Whether you're a seasoned pizza connoisseur or just looking for a delicious meal, our pizza here is sure to satisfy. Featuring specialty pizzas named after iconic Santa Barbara streets, our mouth-watering menu will have you coming back over and over again to try each new meal. We offer a full menu of salads, sides, sandwiches, and desserts. Santa Barbara Pizza House is conveniently located at 515 State Street in the heart of downtown Santa Barbara. Visit us online at sbpizzahouse.com or call and place your order at 805-637-7721. Santa Barbara Pizza House. You won't leave hungry.
Welcome back to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Kurash, and today we are in Washington, D.C. exploring the treasures of the Smithsonian Institute. Please join us. The concept of a national portrait gallery dated back to the 1790s when Charles Willson Peale's American Pantheon showcased portraits of great American patriots of the Revolution. It wasn't until over 130 years later that the National Portrait Gallery was formally established, and it took an additional 40 years for the gallery to receive its own building. A major controversy occurred in 1979 over the National Portrait Gallery's attempt to buy two Gilbert Stuart paintings. The famous unfinished portraits of George and Martha Washington were owned by the Boston Athenaeum, which loaned them to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston in 1876. But Athenaeum, a private collection, was suffering from financial difficulties by the late 1970s. It twice offered to sell the two portraits to the Museum of Fine Arts over the previous 2 years, but the museum declined to purchase them. The Athenaeum began research for another buyer, and in early 1979, the Athenaeum tentatively reached an agreement to sell the works to the National Portrait Gallery for $5 million. When the Athenaeum made these discussions public in April 1979, there was strong public opposition to the sale in Boston. In 1979, the gallery also obtained 5 other portraits by Gilbert Stuart. These 5 paintings of Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, John Adams, and James Madison were known as the Gibbs-Coolidge set. The portraits were donated by the Coolidge family of Boston, this time without controversy. By 1981, the museum had more than 2,000 items in its collection. 2 major 19th century photography collections were added by the museum that year. The first such acquisition was the collection of over 5,000 glass negatives produced by the studio of famed Civil War photographer Matthew Brady and his assistants, including original photographs of Abraham Lincoln. Using historically accurate chemicals, paper, and techniques, prints were made of the negatives and the prints placed on rotating display. Later that year, 5,400 Civil War-era glass negatives produced by the photographer Alexander Gardner were also purchased. This included the famous cracked plate portrait of Abraham Lincoln taken in February 1865. which was the last photographic portrait of Lincoln taken before his death in April 1865. Two major portrait purchases were also made in the early 1980s. One was a Gilbert Stuart portrait of Thomas Jefferson, for which the museum paid $1 million to a private collector. A portion of the purchase price came from the Thomas Jefferson Foundation, which owns and operates Jefferson's historic plantation home in Monticello. The two parties agreed to have the portrait spend time at both locations. The second major purchase was an Edgar Degas portrait of his friend Mary Cassatt, for which the museum paid $1.3 million. Two very important daguerreotypes and early photographic process were purchased in the 1990s. The first was of African-American abolitionist and former slave Frederick Douglass, acquired in the 1990s. It is one of only 4 daguerreotypes of Douglass known to exist. This year, the number of images in the museum's photography collection reached 8,500 objects. 6 years later, the National Portrait Gallery obtained for $115,000 the earliest known daguerreotype of abolitionist John Brown, whose 1859 raid on Harper's Ferry helped to spark the Civil War. Perhaps its greatest acquisition in the fall of 2000, Neil Primrose, 7th Earl of Rosebery, offered to sell Gilbert Stuart's Lansdowne portrait of George Washington to the National Portrait Gallery. The painting was commissioned in April 1796 by Senator William Bingham of Pennsylvania, one of the wealthiest men in America at that time. The 8-by-5-foot portrait was given as a gift to British Prime Minister William Petty Fitzmaurice. Fitzmaurice was the 2nd Earl of Shelburne and later became the first Marquis of Lansdowne, hence the name of the portrait. Lansdowne died in 1805, and in 1890 the painting was purchased by the 5th Earl of Rosebery. The Lansdowne portrait was displayed only 3 times in the United States. On its 3rd trip in 1968, it was exhibited by the National Portrait Gallery and it remained there on indefinite loan. Lord Rosebery offered to sell the painting for $20 million, a price at the low end of the estimates. After an exhaustive search for private funding, a $30 million donation allowed for the purchase of the painting, a national tour to share it with the American people, and the construction of a new space for it in the National Portrait Gallery. One of America's historic masterpieces was finally home for good. Welcome back to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Kurash, and once again we are in the beautiful Washington, D.C. But this time we are showing you the Smithsonian Institute. It's the largest art collection and educational complex in the United States. Please join us as we research further these beautiful works of art. One of the Smithsonian Institution's most impressive locations is the National Air and Space Museum, documenting the 120 years history of flight that started with the Wright brothers on the shores of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and culminating with the moon landing less than 7 decades later. This gallery contains the airplanes, rockets, and space capsules that have inspired the world since we first took to the skies. The display includes the Spirit of St. Louis, which Charles Lindbergh flew on the first transatlantic flight, the glamorous Glennis, which Chuck Yeager was piloting when he first broke the sound barrier, and Voyager 1, the first plane to fly around the world without landing. The collection also includes the Apollo 11 capsule and a piece of moon rock that millions of children have been able to touch since it was installed in the early 1970s. With the retirement of the Space Shuttle program in the early 2010s, one of the shuttle orbiters was given to the Air and Space Museum and resides in a specially built hangar just outside of Washington, D.C. The National Museum of American History contains numerous historical artifacts, including some of the earliest examples of locomotions, cars, military vehicles, the original Star-Spangled Banner flag that inspired the national anthem, and more. Let's look at more of this impressive collection. My grandfather taught me about the beauty of the rugs. Each one tells a story. Story about the person who wove it, the person who bought it, the person who inherits it, the person who treasures it. It's amazing how simply looking at an object can bring you back to a different place and time, or remind you of someone you love. At Santa Barbara Design Center, we want to help you find a rug that will travel through time with your family for generations to come. Visit us at 410 Olive Street and find your treasure today. Welcome to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Micah Kurosh and we are in this fantastic Hope Ranch today with the one and only Lisa Wilson Goldmans, my dear friend and Santa Barbara's top interior designer. Lisa, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
I'm excited to see your modern home today.
I know, isn't this fun?
There's always fun. So, what are we gonna do?
So this house is in, as you said, Hope Ranch. And the best part about old neighborhoods is that there are sometimes these really old, sort of tired homes, as this one was. It was a mid-century, really tired. You know, the whole shag carpeting, the whole, like, we covered everything over 100 years ago. My clients who hired me to stage it have done an amazing remodel job, amazing. So I thought this would be fun to show that a good house in the right neighborhood, it's always about location, location, location.
True.
And the house might be tired, but wait till you see what we did with it.
Wait until you hire Lisa. All right. So let's come on, let's go see what it is.
Thanks.
Oh, that is amazing.
Isn't it fabulous?
This is fabulous.
So, like I said, location, location, location. The house wasn't great. They took it down to studs, but they knew the footprint was right. They knew that the elevations were right, and they just really made it beautifully, softly modern, with a little nod to the mid-century, but not slavishly.
And Yan, you decorated like this.
And it's
I want to move in here.
so pretty. We've talked about this before. When it's a really beautiful house, my job is to get out of the way. My job is to put things so that people can understand logically how the rooms function. Where do I eat, sleep, work, and play? We've talked about that a lot. And that's what we've done. So come see the living room.
All right, let's see it. Oh my goodness, that is so beautiful. Look at that view.
The view out to Hope Ranch, isn't that gorgeous?
That's unbelievable. And actually, we are lucky this year we got rain, so the pond is full of water.
So Laguna Blanca is actually a laguna.
Yes.
And we have the seating area that plays to the fireplace, which again, that nod to that mid-century, the grooviness of a 60s, 70s house, but with these beautiful new windows that slide and the great stainless steel banister that doesn't hide your view. And then seating so you can come in and just, you know exactly what to do here, which is have a good time.
Yes, you will have a good time. I mean, look outside, you're across from the golf course, and then you have the lagoon there is beautiful, and you did fantastic job here.
Well,
I love
thank you.
these. Oh my
I
gosh.
really only used 3 colors. It's and neutrals, like black and white really aren't colors.
Yes.
Just a little bit of softness, and then a good piece of art that plays to the structure and helps lend balance to separating the living room from the dining room. An 11-foot table, why not? But look at the lighting they've done in the beams. It's just so pretty.
Everything is very elegant, but quiet. It's not cold and yelling at you.
It isn't, and it is very quiet. So it feels like a retreat. It feels very restful. And I think that's one of the best things about Hope Ranch. It is so quiet and just a lovely place to come and rest.
And the views don't hurt.
So when we talk about being able to see just the ocean right across at the beach, and then we've got the Laguna Blanca.
The Laguna Blanca we both know.
Yeah.
Yes.
As well as this beautiful mountain view, we try to tie in those things without competing with them. So we have a very organic looking rug that looks like the sand.
Fantastic. Look at that thing. Where did you get that?
Oh, see, I have this friend who does rugs.
Oh, me.
That was
Thank you.
But the other things, we don't have a lot, as you can tell, a lot of accessories, not a lot of little things, but we have great swivel chairs, a really comfortable sofa, and then little pull-up things, as I call them.
And those are beautiful because you could use that as extra seating, you know?
And you have made these little ottomans for me with casters on the bottom of them too, and they roll around.
Yes.
Which just makes it so easy to see the view and see the party.
Beautiful.
And then you
can fit actually 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people easily in this. And people, you know.
And then sit on the fireplace.
On the fireplace
9, 10,
too.
11, 12.
You have a whole family here.
So if you have, I've always talked about this.
Yes.
If you have 10 people here and dinner's ready, what do you do over here? So
yes.
We've got an 11-foot table.
This is long.
Seating.
Wow. But then it looks perfect for the room. It just made for this room.
That's just it. When you've got these big spaces, you want to make rooms out of rugs. And then we've talked about this again a million times. Proportion, scale. It's an 11-foot table.
11-foot table.
There
It's not
are
small.
8 generously sized chairs, and you could get at least 4 more in here
At
if
least
you
4
needed
more,
to.
yes.
So you're also saying to buyers, this is a house where you can really entertain and have fun. You could have done a smaller table here, but then what do you do with the rest of the space? It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
This just says, come and enjoy and have the best time.
I love the patio that wraps around the whole house. I mean, this is like treasure. It's amazing.
Isn't it nice?
Beautiful.
And then, do you want to go outside
Love
for a
to
minute?
see the outside, yes.
Come, let's play outside.
That's it. Look at the breeze. You even immediately feel it.
It's so nice.
It is so nice. And look at the view, 360 degrees.
This beautiful Santa Barbara mountain view, which is so
This is
pretty.
stunning.
And one of the reasons we love living here.
Yes.
And then this, again, just the whole golf course, the hillside, and look down here, look at this.
Oh, there's a pool here?
Yes.
I'm glad I don't live here. I was jumping down right now.
And it wraps around, the terrace wraps
Terrace
around.
goes around, yes. That's actually
So
a lot
pretty.
of square footage outside.
It is, and
Yes.
it's so usable. We've
Yes.
obviously put this great seating area here, and there's levels of seating, which is also fun. The same
Very nice.
little thing downstairs.
Very nice, Lisa.
So-
This is fantastic looking.
It's so pretty.
And it's comfortable. You sit here during the day, and the pool down there is stunning. Look at those.
Really pretty. We'll go see that in a minute. We've got,
Yes.
Let's go. Your favorite room is the?
Kitchen and bar. Okay, let's go check it out.
So on the way to the kitchen, I just had to stop to have a moment for this beautiful powder room. This is what I mean about they didn't spare any expense and they didn't skip a beat. It's so good with the smart mirror and this beautiful tiled wall. I just love it. Your favorite room.
Ooh la la, this really is. And is, oh my gosh, they did beautiful job. Look at these appliances. They are top of the line. And look at the wine cooler here. It's just,
The wine cooler, just what you want. Again, just beautifully done.
Yes.
What we did is bring in warm elements to balance all of the white and the gray. So, great place to eat. There's your breakfast table and
Yes.
chairs. And here's where anybody can have coffee, the kids can have dinner, have at it, make it your own. I just love the cabinetry. It feels so soft.
And I bet you that refrigerator is going to be an amazing one too.
It'll probably get a lot of good use.
Oh my gosh. I love this. Is actually what they did. It was very clever. A lot of Los Angeles modern homes you go, they're cold. They are like in a colder range of colors. But they used all warm whites. And obviously you brought a lot of warmth to it additionally. But
That's
it's beautiful.
the balance. That's how we tell the story about what you do here. Where do I have my breakfast?
Yes,
Okay.
it's beautiful and very functional. This is very big, but actually I can see it being used more often than not.
Yes. And now I want to take you to the primary bedroom, which is right off the entryway because it's really beautiful.
It must be amazing.
Okay.
Follow you, miss. Ooh la la. My goodness, this is even prettier than the last room.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh gosh, yes. It feels like you went to a Ritz-Carlton. No, it's better than Ritz-Carlton. Yes.
But that's the beauty of this house. It's just so well done. And this room is a really good size. It has this beautiful fireplace that mimics the colors in that room.
Yes.
So they've done a great job balancing the materials. And what we did is bring in things that mimicked that. So you just relate to what's going on in the atmosphere of the room. And a great big headboard, we thought this was important so you balance the mass of the fireplace. Something smaller would have felt maybe a little puny.
That's true. And the colors you picked are stunning and matches the color of the rug, the
black and white photos.
The photographs out there, they're very beautiful.
Yeah.
And obviously the view outside
Right.
is...
Again, you've just got trees. It feels just so restful.
Every morning you get up, you're seeing the trees. And I saw those olive trees you planted outside, or they planted outside. It's just
I think
incredible.
they did a great job bringing in absolutely the right landscaping. It's so pretty, and it's not too much.
No, it feels
Drought
perfect.
tolerant.
Yes, looks nice and perfect for Santa Barbara.
And then I have to show you the bathroom. because
Please
there's
show me.
a little surprise at the end.
Let's see it.
I just love this bathroom. It's really calm and it has everything you need. It's got this great soaking tub. It's got a great big shower, double sinks. It feels warm. I love the tile on the walls. And then there's a little outdoor shower and a seating, kind of just a little zen space. Because if you live in Hope Ranch and you've been to the beach, you just drive up and go in the back gate and get yourself all showered off after your swim.
Lisa, I thank you so very much for sharing your insight and
You
your
are very
expertise with our viewers. It's a pleasure having you on our show every single time, and our viewers learn and see these beautiful environments you create.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for watching Design Santa Barbara. We'll be back next week with another show.